Tosca DiMatteo is a keynote speaker, career transformation coach, author, and advisor. A former marketing exec for blue chip companies including Unilever and Absolute Vodka, she helps people shift inner narratives, unlock truth, and take bold, aligned action to get unstuck and create meaningful change in work and life. Join us as Tosca reminds us just because the journey is hard doesn't mean it's not meant for you. When we know it in our bones what is meant for our path, but the results aren't coming on the timeline that we want, we have to trust that the ups and downs in the journey are part of the process and keep going. Get ready for some self-reflection and a little bit of toe stepping as we welcome Tosca DiMatteo. Welcome to She Leads Boldly, the podcast for faith-driven women navigating high-stakes leadership without compromising what matters most. I am Sherrika Sanders, your host, mentor, and kingdom business leader. Here, we embrace bold leadership rooted in purpose, not pressure. This space is for the woman who refuses to choose between faith and ambition, family and fulfillment, impact and rest. Each week, you'll hear powerful conversations, practical strategies, and spirit-led wisdom to help you advocate for yourself, lead with integrity, and rise without burnout. If you're ready to lead boldly, live faithfully, and never settle for less than what God has promised, you're in the right place. I hope everyone has their, and I'm going to say the phrase wrong, their bootstrap. What is it? Strapped in. I knew I was going to say it wrong. But anyway, I hope you're ready is what I am trying to say, because I know that our conversation today is going to take you all on a journey of your own and definitely give some self-reflection. So thank you and welcome, Tosca. We appreciate you being here with us today.
I'm so excited to be here. I really appreciate the invitation.
Yes, I have followed your work for a while, actually, and seen some of your articles and things that you've written, and very encouraging and inspiring. And I think you just have one of the best views on life. And not to say that everything was great, but the way you choose to show up and choose to respond to the things of life, I think is very encouraging. And even more so, something that you referenced was just because the journey is hard doesn't mean it's not meant for you. And I think that is so profound, because sometimes we get so caught up in ourselves and neither allowing other people to, tell us like, well, if God really led you to do something, it wouldn't be this hard, or it would be easy, or it would come easy. And that's not always the case. And I would love for you to expound more on that, because I think you're definitely going to help set some people free in in what you have to say.
Yeah, thank you for that. The acknowledgement, and just what you see in my work. It really means a lot to hear that. And I think that sometimes we have this perspective in life, right? Like you were saying that the struggle, we make it mean something.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to acceptance that truly life is ups and downs. And it's like, even though as humans, like we want to just constantly be in a state of flow, or constantly feel like, gosh, yes, I'm happy, and and it's going to stay this way indefinitely, right? Because I've reached the mountaintop and now I get to stay up there.
Right.
And that's not the reality of life, but somehow we've convinced ourselves that that's what we're to strive for.
Right.
And maybe some of that even comes from the advent of socials, right? And only seeing the best. And it seems like
Yep.
people are on top for forever, right? And there's never a floundering or a failing. And so there's also this, yeah, and it's understandable why we may have this belief system.
Yeah.
And it is, I believe that when we are claiming more for ourselves
Mm-hmm.
and what we want in this life or what we want to do in this life,
Mm-hmm.
then I believe in a way we get tested. It's like, are
Yeah.
you really willing to go to
Yeah.
the next level, the
Yeah.
next, and that comes with, I don't know, sometimes I just feel like it's like, like a pop quiz, like, oh, here's this, here's this obstacle. Are you
Uh-huh.
ready for it? And
Uh-huh.
I think that that's because if we really honor the biggest version of ourselves, the biggest version of our dreams,
Yeah.
I think that the universe wants us to be able to hold it all
Mm-hmm.
and to make sure we can hold it all. And so we still have some growth to do, even though we're saying yes and we're ready. It doesn't mean that we're actually ready. We may need some more preparation. And that's why I say, hold on, even when it gets scary, because this is your trial. This is your strengthening. It's
Yeah.
like that. I don't know if it's a religious proverb or I don't know what it is, right? But it's like, if you pray for strength, you will get opportunities to show how strong you are. It's like that. It's
Yeah.
like that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. You're absolutely right. I definitely you hit the nail on the head when you said the test, because that's exactly what it is. It's we say we want the things, or we know that a certain thing is for us, and we may say, "And I'm ready for that thing," but are you? Because sometimes we fail to realize with each level, like the phrase says, new levels, new devils, like with each level comes greater obstacles and greater trials, and you need to be ready for those things. And so on your current level, you will go through tests, you will have trials, you will have tribulations, you will have all of these different obstacles, because they are preparing you for what is to come when you get to that next place. Because what happens if you get there and you are not prepared and you are not ready, then you will lose the thing. And then you'll be like, well, what happened? But you weren't ready for it. A great analogy I always hear people say, like, you hear a 5-year-old saying, oh my gosh, I can't wait to have my own car. So you're going to go get it for them right then, knowing that they can't drive, knowing that they can't handle it, knowing that they would just completely wreck it and themselves, so it's all about preparation and being ready. And it's so many times, if we think back there, and we probably wouldn't even have to think that far back, there are so many times where we thought we something should have happened at a certain time, or we didn't understand how things seemed to be going so well, and then something just came out of nowhere, like that pop quiz. And it's like, what is happening? But hindsight is 2020. We go through the thing and we look back and it's like, oh man, if that one thing wouldn't have happened, then I wouldn't have been in this situation to get this blessing or to meet that person or whatever it is. And so I do think there is an illusion, and you're absolutely right. People look at social media. We all look at social media. And of course, people are presenting their best selves, the best foot forward, the best relationships, the most successful business, all of these things. And behind closed doors, it's something completely different. But we're so caught up in what they presented to us and accepting that as fact. And now we're trying to strive for something that we don't even know what comes along with that.
Right. Yeah, that the comparison piece is a killer, you know?
Yes.
It's and I know it's talked about ad nauseum, but you have to keep saying it because it's such a habit that we can have to say, but other people have it this way or that way, or it was
Mm-hmm.
so easy for them, and then we have this longing for it. And there's information. I always say, like, there's information in that, jealousy or whatever it is, that we're feeling, or
Yeah.
envy, and that information tells us what it is we actually desire.
Yes.
And that can be powerful, because you may not even realize, oh, I actually just want things to feel a little easier. I just want more levity in my life,
Mm-hmm.
or whatever
Mm-hmm.
that thing is. And then it's like, okay, how can I give that to myself? How can I then not be a victim of, I don't have this, but rather say, what now? And I think that's like a big concept attached to this idea of, just because it's hard, but doesn't mean it's not meant for you. The
Right.
question to ask ourselves is not, why me? Why does this have to happen? Why is this obstacle? I got to face this other mountain. It's
Mm-hmm.
more like, well, what now? Like, what are you learning? What are you meant to learn here? And the
Yeah.
sooner you can ask yourself that question, right? And the sooner that you can start to hypothesize, the
Mm-hmm.
better off you're going to be, because then that's an empowering thing to say, what is the lesson here?
Yeah. Absolutely. What is the lesson? What is it that I'm supposed to learn in this space? And then you need to truly surrender, truly just let go and accept whatever that thing is. Because you could say, what is the lesson I'm supposed to learn here? But still keep fighting to get out of that thing. And so it's like there is a lesson, but you're so busy trying to fight, you're not accepting it. You're not surrendering to that lesson. So now you're staying in this place that you probably could have been out of even longer, because you still need to learn. You still need to grow. You need to let go and accept. So I absolutely love that. And I thought of something else and it left me just as quick as it came in. But it's it's a lesson. It takes humility, because it's often our pride that keeps us from learning or growing through a thing, because we don't want to appear a certain way to a certain group of people. But it may be in your appearing that way that you find out who your true people are, who your real group is, your support system. It's your way of also seeing some of those things as well. And so, but we so worry so much about perception and trying to hide, and I don't want anybody to think X about me. How about what do you think about you? What do you think about you? What are you doing to make sure that you're learning, you're growing, you're improving, you're bettering yourself, and let all of that other stuff go wherever it's going. And I always like to have a scriptural reference, and this is one that came up for me. It's Philippians 1:6 that says, being confident of this, that he who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Christ Jesus. Meaning, if he started something in you, if he brought you to something, it, no one ever said you won't have trials, there won't be hard days, but knowing that he will finish his work in you, he will bring it through to completion. But are you going to be willing and surrender so that that thing can happen?
So much richness in all of that. It's like, gotta listen to that a couple times. And yeah, like this idea, right, of surrender. I often think about when we're hitting these tough patches, right? Oftentimes what we do is we actually try to swim upstream. We're like going against the thing. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's like, what does it look like to go downstream? And you may not know, because you're so used to swimming upstream. You're so used to whatever patterns, like the fight or flight,
Yep.
versus like actually, like, what does it look like to surrender and to say, how do I go with the flow here? And going with the flow might mean the pause, and it might mean just stop for a second. And I love what you said, right, in relation to the scripture and the quote, which is that you always have a choice. Like,
Always.
you have a choice to say, you know, am I that am I that assured in my path? Am I that assured in what it is I'm going after that I will ride the storm? That I still know it's meant for me, even though it's hard. And that is that coming back and centering on your knowing.
Yes. Trust.
Yeah.
Trusting in your spirit, trusting in your relationship. It's something you said something too about that desire and knowing what you want to do. And someone recently told me about I'll call it a task that she did. She said every day for 5 days, she got up and wrote down what she wanted to do, whether it was personal, professional, whatever. But she wrote down what was like the main desires and not overthinking it, not putting a lot, just whatever comes to mind. And she said at the end of the 5, and you don't go back and read it until the end of the 5 days, and then you look for the consistencies. What is that one thing that you kept mentioning in those 5 days that you said that you wanted to do or have or be? And that is the thing. Because sometimes I think we also get caught up in what someone else is doing and what it looks like for them. And we say, oh, well, I must be doing this wrong because they're they look more successful than I do, but we're supposed to be, doing the same thing, or they're having this to happen and I'm not, so they must be doing it right and I'm doing it wrong. Well, maybe you're not even doing what you're supposed to be doing because you're so caught up in looking at everybody else. Maybe your path, your role, your journey is supposed to be something completely different, and maybe that's why you are struggling because you're in the wrong place. And so when you mention that about really knowing what you want, that was a thing that I thought of and forgot. That's what came to mind for me, because some of us struggle because we really don't know what we want. All right, sis, pause for just a moment, because what I'm about to share could be the very thing that shifts everything for you. Let's be real for a minute. Too many women are sitting on the sidelines of their own lives waiting for someday. But you know God is calling you higher. That's why I created a way for you to connect with me one-on-one. Now go sign up at Transform the Gap, that's GAAP.com, and then come back. Because this episode is only getting better, and I want you equipped for the next step. See you soon.
So true. It is an important distinction between, am I following what I think I should pursue, or am I really being honest with myself? And to be honest, so many people have been trained, have been, you know, literally indoctrinated into them that it's not okay to have your own dreams,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
there's cultural aspects of that.
Mm-hmm.
There's upbringing aspects of that.
Mm-hmm.
There's, gender, there's all the things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where certain folks are just, were suppressed
Yeah.
from actual desire. And so it can be so deep in us that we're just following what we think we're supposed to follow.
Yes.
So really, really asking ourselves, is this really what I want? Can be a difficult question, because we really think it is what we want, but
Mm-hmm.
we haven't done that deep excavation to say, wait a minute. If I'm really honest with myself, if I release limiting beliefs, if I release any, expectations,
Yeah.
what would I discover?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely right. And I think, and we also have those who, well, I prayed about it and I'm not really sure, or I'm not sure if I'm hearing the answer, but quiet time is just as important as prayer, because how do you hear the answer to your prayers? How do you receive those downloads of the things that you need to do if you're not being quiet? And so sometimes we go into our time, our intimate time with God, and we may just be, and then this happened, and I need that, and this, and all these things. But have you ever just stopped and hushed and just had some quiet time and allowed whatever it is that you're supposed to receive to be imparted into you. And so sometimes we miss that step and we say, well, I don't know. I tried to seek guidance, and sometimes also when just listening and surrendering, we hear things from other people's conversation. We see a billboard, it's a license plate. So many different things we'll see, and it's like, huh. And it brings back that thing, or it gives you clarity. For someone else, it was a license plate, but for you, it was an answer to something that you've been thinking about, praying about, trying to decide on. And so we just have to make sure we're open to receive. And so I think one of the biggest takeaways I believe I could say is surrender to the journey. Surrender to the journey. Our paths are different. It doesn't matter if it's someone in your household, in your business, on your team. Our paths are all different, but they are all also specific to us. And just because we may be in the same place physically doesn't mean that we are destined for the same place physically and spiritually, honestly. And so I think we just have to be open to that, and knowing that going through struggles, ask for the lesson, because sometimes it can be because of something you did that you shouldn't have done. But other times it can truly, and probably more often than not, it's setting you up for that next big thing. So to ask yourself, what is the lesson that I am to learn? What is the lesson that I am to receive out of this experience? So like I said, I've read a few of your works. And mostly because we initially connected on LinkedIn, and so mostly from the newsletters, but I've appreciated how you surrendered to the journey. And not only that, your vulnerability in speaking about the journey as well, and not just presenting the rainbow and sunshine, but saying there were some clouds, but because I allowed myself to go through the clouds, I can now enjoy the rainbow and the sunshine.
Oh, yes, yes, thank you. And you know, I think that one of the things we do is we judge ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
We judge our past decisions, we judge where we are. And that's just harshness on
Mm-hmm.
ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
versus acceptance and like, yeah, this is who I am, this is where I am,
Mm-hmm.
and this is where I'm meant to be. And that's a practice. It's a practice to not be in judgment. It's a practice to give ourselves grace in the journey,
Yes.
you know?
Yes.
And I always say, and I've seen it, and not just in my own life, but in my dozens and dozens of clients, which is that like the personal, the personal growth always leads to the breakthroughs, the
Mm-hmm.
professional breakthroughs, the personal right? All the breakthroughs,
Mm-hmm.
and that, the comeback is coming. It just, can we sit in what, that moment, those moments, and sometimes longer than we want,
Right.
you know, to get through. And we may be chipping away at the thing that's actually not the biggest obstacle that we need to get through.
Mm.
And I'll give you an example of like, my own, entrepreneurial journey
Mm-hmm.
of like, wait a minute, but I'm looking for these opportunities. It's like the constant job search as an entrepreneur, right? Like,
Right. Right.
where's the next opportunity? And I came to realize that, the reality of losing a 30-year relationship in my life, you know, was impacting how I was feeling about other relationships, right? Business
Mm-hmm.
relationships,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that I had to really look at that and say, wait, what is getting in the way here? Where is the emotion in this? Where is the resistance? Where is the, healing?
Yeah.
And seeing, oh, it's this personal experience
Yes.
that is under the surface of it all. And like logically, right? It's like, but it doesn't make sense. But I've done my healing, but I've come to acceptance and da 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 da. But we cannot nip our emotions in the bud. Those are the realest thing.
Yeah, they are.
And being able to see that and recognize that emotion and say, okay, now what? Has been a huge energetic expansion in my, very recently in my life to say, oh, like what's getting in the way here is like I'm looking in the wrong place,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
because we like to compartmentalize,
Yeah.
because we've
Yeah.
been trained to compartmentalize and say, well, this doesn't matter over here. Of course it does, you know?
Or this is
Uh,
totally unrelated from that thing. Not so much. Not so much.
right.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes we forget that there is strength in vulnerability.
Mm.
And just being open and putting it out there. And that doesn't mean you have to walk around, with your tissues and tears in your eyes just so people know that you're real. But it does mean that it's okay to acknowledge how you're feeling in that moment for whatever that thing is that you're going through, and stuffing it down and hiding it doesn't create strength. You're just creating more burden on yourself, really.
100%. And I think what happens in giving ourselves permission to be vulnerable, it's not just about courage for courage's sake. It's about your willingness to go through the thing versus
Hmm.
around it versus
Mm,
avoid it. Because the strength is in saying, I'm willing to look at it, feel it, name it, and express it. And, all of the
yeah,
above, or maybe one of those things, right? To say, no, I'm ready to move through this
yeah.
rather than pretend it doesn't exist, or rather than pretend I don't feel that way, or that I'm not going through this thing. And that is real strength, and that is a real devotion to yourself and
Hmm.
commitment to yourself.
Hmm. Yeah. I love that. And you definitely have to stay committed to you. You have to prioritize you. But I love that. You have to, the strength is in the thing, not avoiding it, going around it, pretending it's not there. The strength is normally in the midst of that thing that you are trying to avoid, that you don't want to go through. But that's where the growth happens. I couldn't have said it better myself. Yeah, I think that just that line in itself was definitely something for that person who is like, ugh, I don't want this to happen, so I'm not doing this. So you're taking longer to get to where you're supposed to be because you're going all the way around instead of just either submitting or just going through, just taking that, just going straight through. And now you're making a much longer process than it needed to be. But yeah, I truly adore you and just thank you for all that you've shown and shared with us today.
Well, thank you, Shrika. Thank you for holding the space for your wisdom and your guidance in this conversation. It's, we, I love that you're reminding people like, hey, it's keep going. And it's not that toxic keep going that get to the, burnout hustle
Yeah.
culture, keep going.
Yeah.
It's that keep coming back to trust and keep coming back to faith and keep honoring that there's something here for you in the struggle, and it's happening for you and not to you. So thank you for, I think the world does need to hear these messages, especially right now.
That was the best summation, Tosca. I love that. So thank you. And of course, I'll make sure that your contact information is included for any who needs to hear or read or see or have or work with Tosca to get just a little, well, we've gotten just a little snippet today of the value that she brings. And so we'll make sure that your contact information is included so that any who desire can reach out to you. But thank you again for your time. I appreciate your time and your presence and your sharing with us today.
Thank you so much.
Hey, friend, if this episode stirred something in you, don't keep it to yourself. Make sure you subscribe to She Leads Boldly so you never miss an episode. And let's stay connected. Join our growing community of faith-driven powerhouse women where you'll find real talk, encouragement, and tools to fuel your journey. Oh, and I've created something special just for the bold, faith-driven women like you. An ebook, When You Know His Name. Discover identity, intimacy, and the power of prayer through the names of God. This ebook is designed to equip and encourage you to lead with clarity, courage, and conviction in every space God assigns you to. Available now on Amazon. And if you're ready for deeper clarity, I would love to personally walk with you. I offer a one-on-one session called Your Path to Purpose and Power, and it's to help you break through the overwhelm and realign with what God is actually calling you to in this season. Whether it's burnout, boundaries, or fresh vision, you don't have to figure it out alone. All links are in the show notes. Oh, and one last thing. I would love to hear from you. What questions are you carrying this season? What topics would serve your walk, your work, your womanhood right now? Send me a message or an email because this podcast is for you, and I want every episode to speak directly to where you are. Remember, you don't have to choose between your faith, your family, and the calling on your life. God's grace makes room for it all. So until next time, stay anchored in purpose, covered in grace, and always ready to rise. Talk soon, friend.